Hi class, in this video I'm going to show you some examples of making maps using Leaflet. I'm going to replicate the plots I created in the demo videos for ggmap and geommap. In this part, I will replicate the map of my bike ride in Mallorca. I have already read in the data above, so let's take a look at Mallorca bike day 7. See here. Just to remind us, so it has a variable called lon, L-O-N, a variable called lat, L-A-T, ella, which stands for elevation, time, and speed. Okay. All right. And let's also remember the steps for making a map using Leaflet. We'll create a map widget by calling the Leaflet function and telling it the data to use. We'll add a base map using add tiles or add provider tiles. And we'll add layers to the map by using layer functions, add markers, add polygons, etc. We'll repeat step 3 and then we'll print out an image of our map. So I'm going to start by just plotting the points, and there's a lot of them. So let's call the Leaflet function, and the data we're using is Mallorca bike day 7. And we can pipe. So remember in Leaflet, we are going to pipe from function to function rather than using the plus sign like you do in ggplot2. So this is a mistake I will very likely make while you are watching me. I'm gonna also really quickly fix this. No, I'm not. Okay, let's go. So Leaflet, and let's just do add tiles. This is gonna bring up the default OpenStreetMap. And we will, let's see, add markers. Oops, not markets, markers. There we go. And I can just leave this as is and run the code. And I spelled Leaflet wrong. Let's try that again. And run the code. And while this is making a map, I'm going to look at this message, or not. There we go. So this says assuming LON and LAT are longitude and latitude respectively. So I didn't actually have the correct names in here that I was supposed to. It happened to guess right, but next time I'm going to explicitly put those in there. And then if we give this a second, there's a lot of data points on here, so it takes a while. So there's all my points with my markers. That's the default marker type. And you can scroll in and out, which I'm going to try not to do a whole lot of right now, but using various types of zoom functionality. So it changes depending on the kind of computer you have. All right, so that was my initial map. Now we're going to modify that map in the following ways. We're going to change the base map. So let's first, I sort of have my base code set up here. So let's see. This is going to be still Mallorca bike day 7. And now I have this add provider tiles instead of tiles. So one thing I wanted to show you is if I can find where I've put my internet. So if we go to, let's see if I can find the right thing. There we go. Just a moment, I'm going to move this screen over here so you can see it, and I can't do that. Let me try that again. So I'm going to move this screen over here. So that link I've shown you, you can actually click on various map types and see a preview of them here. So that can be sort of helpful to see the different types of maps that are available. I forget which one I had chosen initially. So let me go back in here and I'm going to cheat for a minute. And I'm going to open my Leaflet demo where I have my code so I can remember which map I originally chose so I can keep it the same. I chose the Esri World Imagery map. Okay. So let's click back over here. All right, so when I go to add provider tiles, if I start typing provider, I like to do it this way, providers, $, and then I get the list here, and then I kind of scroll through here. So I think I said Esri something. Esri World Imagery, I believe was the one I said. I'm going to explicitly tell it the longitude and the latitude. And let's see if I can do other simple things before we jump into the color. Just checking things off my list here. So change the base map. Oh, I used add circles instead of add markers. So I guess that's one thing to point out. I don't tend to like those markers very much. We're going to change the marker size with radius. So I believe the default. Must have gotten rid of that. So we'll do radius equals 1. I believe the default is something like 10. And then we're going to change the color. So we want to, let's see here, change the color to color by elevation. So remember that we can't just map a variable to color here. Instead, we need to create a variable of colors using this color numeric function. And I also want to show you in the help over here, if I search for color numeric, and let's open this up big, there's various other ways I can choose to color. Color numeric is very common for a continuous quantitative variable. So the two key things I need to give it are the palette I'm going to use, and I can give it one of my Viridis palette names, which is what I'm going to do. And then the domain, which essentially is a variable that has the range of values that we're interested in. So I always just give it the variable we're going to use. So here, I think the color theme I'm going to use is magma, and then the domain is, oops, I did that wrong. Let's try that again. Okay, the domain is going to be, so here I'm going to grab the variable that I'm going to color by, which is elevation. So we haven't used the $sign much, but to access that variable sort of outside of the data set, I can do the data set $sign, the variable name. So in this case, Ella. So I think I showed you this in a different tutorial, but if I run this by itself, you can see that this returns a function. Don't worry about what it looks like for now, but I just wanted you to see that. So this thing called pal is actually a function. Now in here, I'm going to apply pal to the elevation variable. Here, I don't need to use Mallorca bike data 7 $ elevation because elevation, or it knows the data set already because I've read it in right here. Okay, and let's see, I wanted to label this, and let's see, what did I want to do? I want to add a label of speed. Okay, so, oh, and I have a note here that this should be a variable. Okay, so let's do speed. And also in Leaflet, it's important to remember that when we use variables, we need to put a tilde before the variable. Okay, the last thing I'm going to do is add a legend. It also helps to go over here to add legend so you can see the arguments that you need in here, even though I've already sort of shared them. So the first thing we need to tell it is what position we want it in. So I'll put it at the top left. And then I think I know what the other arguments are. So let's go top left. And then my pal argument is that palette function, which in this case I also called pal. And then the values are the values I want it to take. So this is for my elevation variable. Elevation is a variable, so I need a tilde before it. Let's try running this. Oh no, an error. I knew this was going to happen. You should count how many times I make this same error. So here it says error in pal Ella, object Ella not found. Well, remember I'm trying to color by what is now a variable. I need to have the tilde before that. Let's see, object lawn not found. Okay, what did I call that? Mallorca bike day 7. Go back to that data set. Same mistake. Let's go back down here. How many times am I going to make the same mistake? Oops. Okay, there needs to be a tilde there since that's a variable, and a tilde there since it's a variable. Like I said, you should count how many times I make that same mistake, because I do it a lot. All right, so there's my map. Again, you can zoom in and out of these maps. You'll probably find as you use them that you accidentally zoom in and out a lot. And notice as I scroll over this, I'm seeing my speeds, and actually let me fix that a little bit. So that speed is sort of annoying to look at. So I'm going to round the speed, and let's round it to the nearest decimal. And let's try running that again. Oops, I spelled round wrong. Apparently I'm going to make a lot of mistakes in this video. All right, now when I look at that, that's sort of a more reasonable number. So there we are. All right, let's move on to a choropleth map using Leaflet. So in this exercise, we're going to replicate the graph we made that colors Minnesota counties by the number of COVID cases per 10,000 residents. First, I'm going to translate the county MN data. You can look at that on your own time, to an SF object. This took me quite a while to figure out. And so I'm not going to go through the details of this, but if you need to convert a data frame to an SF object, this code seemingly works. And after I converted that, I joined some more information on. So I joined the case counts and the population counts on. And then I computed this variable called cases per 10,000. Okay, so let's start with just a basic map. So I think I called this, oops, I think I called it Minnesota COVID all. I'll just add the base map. And I am going to give it a nice label with the county name. And I'm going to use the string to title function to capitalize letters appropriately. And I believe that is actually called region. Let me double check. Oops, wrong data set. Let's do Minnesota COVID all. And it is called region. So with the code I'm doing, the string to title, blue earth will have capital letters for both blue and earth. And I'm not going to make the same mistake again. This is a variable, so I'm going to put a tilde before it. Okay, so this has simply plotted those boundaries. Let's see. I think that's all I had there. So let's make some modifications to this. So first of all, we're going to fill the counties by cases per 10,000. So this fill color, again, I can't just map that variable to color. I have to first make a variable of colors. So let's first set up our color palette. So I've given a different name, pal2, just not to confuse it with our initial palette. So I'm going to use the Inferno palette, and my domain will be MN COVID all. And the variable I'm going to use is called cases per 10,000. So once I set up that palette, then I can use the palette here, and I'm going to remember that this is a variable. So I'm going to use that pal2, and I'm going to color by cases per 10,000. Okay. I'm going to skip outlining the counties. So I'm going to let stroke equal false. Stroke is what puts the outside borders on our polygons. And just so I don't forget this, I am also going to put our data set in here. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is change the fill opacity. So this is like our alpha fill in ggplot, and I'm going to change this to 0.7. I believe the default is 0.2, so it makes them really light, very transparent. And then I'm going to change the label, and I cheated here and have the code already in here for me, and that's because it was somewhat complex. So here we're going to have the county name and cases per 100 in the label, or sorry, cases per 10,000 in the label. So I included the region, that's here. And then there's this colon, and then I've rounded the cases per 10,000 to the nearest digit, so no decimal places. And I paste all those things together, which essentially just smooshes all that text together. Okay, and then we're going to change what happens when we mouse over the counties. So I kind of, as I'm mousing over them, I want to accentuate or highlight them. So I've used this highlight argument. And if you go over here, we can look up, oops, highlight options. And if you search for that, this actually has many of the same arguments that are regular, you know, add markers and add circles. It has many of the same arguments that those functions have. So I think I'm going to color this, which is going to change the outer coloring. And I'm going to change the fill opacity. So when I scroll over it, oops, not a that. When I scroll over it, it has, it's less transparent. So it kind of stands out. And then I am not going to bring it to the front. Actually, I don't remember what that argument does, so I should probably go look it up. And the last thing I'm going to do is add a legend. So here I'm going to put the legend in the, let's see, lower right. The palette I'm going to use is PAL2. The values are, let's see, the cases per 10,000. And I will give it a title. And let's call it cases per 10,000. Very unique. Okay, and let's run that code. And let's see, where did I make that same mistake again? Oh, not lower right, it's called bottom right. Thank you for giving me a helpful comment. All right. What else did I do wrong? Let's see. I did do it again. That is a variable. It needs a tilde. Hopefully seeing me make that same mistake so many times will help you not make that mistake. Okay, so this looks different. I am going to zoom in a little bit here. So just to kind of accentuate that when I scroll over these, they do get darker. All right, so I think that is all I had to talk to you about for right now. I hope you found that helpful, and I will see you soon. Bye. Nope, I need to stop recording. Let's stop recording. Bye-bye.